Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. Today is Monday, August 17th, 2020, and I am broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica. I have just returned from Playa Negra and San Juanillo, and I am broadcasting this. It is now 9 p.m. my time, which is, you can call it Central Standard Time or you can call it Mountain Time, but that means it is 11 p.m. in the East Coast of the United States. So, if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you will know that I had to postpone my normal Sunday night recording because where I was in San Juanillo, there was no way to send the podcast over because of the lack of internet. And I was away and having a little break for the first time in months, and many months actually, and one of the things that happened was that there was no internet where I was, and so Uranus went retrograde on Saturday, the 15th, at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, and I said there were going to be unexpected topsy-turvy things, and that's the nature of Uranus. And one of the things that happened is we arrived Saturday at a new place, and they had no internet, and they had no internet for months because during this COVID crisis, some thieves went in the area and stole all the Wi-Fi network wires for not just this hotel, but the whole area. And people don't have internet, or they don't have Wi-Fi. It was very strange because the thieves wanted the copper wire in the wiring, and they could sell it for money. They could get money for it. So, talk about expect the unexpected with Uranus. So that's why we're doing this on Monday night at 9:00, because I just got home about an hour ago. So, and the funny thing is, these were beautiful places. They're near the beach. They're way up north, here in Costa Rica, and we were able to make a reservation at this place, so they had something working for themselves, some sort of internet. Maybe it wasn't a Wi-Fi connection. Maybe it was like a modem plugged in connection, like a, locked into the desktop thing. But these poor people, and because they were able to make the reservation and run a credit card and all that stuff, but what a mess. So, but it was, it was supposed to be a vacation, and indeed it was, because I couldn't look at anything really. So there you go. So we are on Monday, the 17th, and it's interesting. There were lots of aspects yesterday. The sun was trining Mars. The sun and Mercury have been trining Mars. Mercury trined Mars today, and they are in a lovely place. The sun and Mercury are together because they made a conjunction at 11:08 a.m. Eastern time, and they made this lovely, lovely conjunction, and made this very beautiful trine to Mars in Aries. So they're in Leo, and they've made this very nice. Trine is a smooth aspect. It's a very lovely, supportive aspect. It provides opportunity. So one of the things that we like about this is that, with Mars in such a vulnerable place, now it's, last week it was in this place of Jupiter, and then it was in this place last week of Pluto, and things were very intense. And with Uranus stationing, and people felt intense, and people were angry, and people were dissatisfied, and people were worried, and people were having nightmares, and I had a couple of people tell me they couldn't sleep, but the sun and Mercury have moved to a place where they're supporting the Mars part of the equation. So they're in a funny little aspect to, those Capricorn group of planets over there. But with this stuff here, and with this stuff in Leo, and then the Mars in Aries, it's this very lovely, lovely little conversation that Mercury and the Sun are having with Mars. And they're saying, don't worry, there's a way out of this madness, out of this craziness, and, for me, it was to step away from everything and get away for a few days for the first time in a while. And, there are ways out. So people have to pay attention to what's available to them that creates an escape or an outdoor or a backdoors or some opportunity in all of this. So that's one of the things that you need to pay attention to right now, because, Mercury's going to move into Virgo on Wednesday, but it's going to really feel like we are in a place of, with the sun there. The sun's going to be there for another few days. It won't move into Virgo till Saturday, but this is actually really good. We're having these aspects because they are really just sort of smoothly helping us get through this Mars, which is connected to Pluto, which is a little bit acerbic. So that's something we need to watch for and pay attention to and enjoy the sun trining Mars. The sun is in its own sign, Leo. Mars is in its own sign, Aries. And so this is a very good, fiery kind of thing. It's a good time to get things done and be ambitious. So we are having that aspect today. The sun conjunct Mercury this morning, Mercury trine to Mars, the sun trine to Mars. These are all very, very good aspects. Now, tomorrow there's a new moon in Leo, and this is a very nice new moon. So it's going to be at 26 degrees Leo. And so the sun has already gotten close to that, and Mars is 24, 25 of Aries. And so this new moon is going to kiss Mars. And the moon is in Leo now, but it's going to take till tomorrow at 10:42 p.m. Eastern time to have this new moon. So the moon is going to be, we call it the dark moon. And so when it's in the dark of the moon, it's best to wait to initiate things and stuff till, after the new moon happens, because it's not really in fruition yet. And so after, you're better off waiting till Wednesday, unless you're living in a different time zone in a different part of the world. And 10:42 Eastern time is, the middle of the afternoon for you where you live. So if you are experiencing this new moon close to something in your chart, like if you're Leo rising, or if you're a Leo, or this week's your birthday, or, if Leo falls, wherever Leo falls in your chart, please, by all means, after the new moon, have a ritual, do a new moon ritual, do a very nice, connected, creative, Leo is a creative. It's about love. It's about passion. It's about fire. It's about the creative fire and the inspiration we get to be creative. That whether that means to have a child, or to make something creative. We're all creative in some way. To make some art, to make something interesting, to come up with a creative idea. All very good. So that new moon is special. It's, close to, but not exactly near the fixed star Regulus, which is the king. And, Leo is the king. So it's a very lovely new moon. So I would highly recommend doing a ritual, thinking of the things you want to manifest, thinking of the things you want to connect with, thinking of the things that you are trying to bring into your life. So new moon tomorrow, Tuesday evening. So I would say, if it's too late and, 11 o'clock at night is not the time you want to do a ritual because you want to go to sleep early, do it on Wednesday. You have the end of the week is, you have all week to do it because we're still in that phase. What's interesting is then some planets are going to change signs. So we have 2 planets changing sign this week. We have Mercury going into Virgo, as I mentioned, on the 19th, which is Wednesday, and that's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7:30 my time. And the moon is going to conjunct Mercury once it's finished doing its new moon thing at 1:30 in the morning on Wednesday Eastern time. And so, it's a couple hours after the new moon occurs, because remember, the new moon is late on Tuesday night. And so Mercury is going to be with this new moon. So that's close enough for me. That means the new moon is with Mercury. So if there's anything you need to communicate, write, if you're starting the Great American Novel, you're going to write the Great American Novel. If you are writing poetry to a loved one, if you are writing a children's story, those are all very Leo things. I recommend, this is a great new moon to start something with like that. Mercury is the planet of communication. It could be writing, it could be thinking, it could be speaking, it could be articulating. I think that it's a really wonderful place to start a project that involves writing or speaking or articulating. And the thing is, Mercury is very busy because once it makes the relationship to the new moon, the conjunction, it's then going to move into its own sign of Virgo on Wednesday night Eastern time, and that's something very interesting because it's doing this new moon and then it changes signs, and it likes Virgo because it rules Virgo, so it's going to spend some time there, some weeks there, and we'll get the benefit of Mercury in this analytical sign because once again there's no air in the sky. Except for the North Node in Gemini, there's no air in the sky. There won't be air in the sky again until the moon moves into Libra at the end of the week, which is 5:16 a.m. Friday in Eastern time zone. That's the 21st. And it'll be in Libra that whole weekend until Saturday morning, 6:16 a.m. Eastern time when it goes into Scorpio. So, Sunday morning, 6:16 a.m. So that's what's, that's there. Once again, we have fire, we have water, we have earth, we do not have air. So it's great that Mercury's moving into Virgo. Virgo is more verbal, although Virgo is not an air sign, it's an earth sign, which is putting more earth in the sky. And then at the end of the week, we're going to have even more earth. These are times for practical work, practical getting things done. Virgo is analytical because Mercury is the ruler. But by the end of the week, by Saturday the 22nd, Mercury will be in Virgo, the Sun will be in Virgo, Uranus will be in Taurus, and then we have 3 planets in Capricorn. So that's like half the sky and Earth, or more than half the sky and Earth. The rest of the things, Venus is still in Cancer, and Venus is going to stay in Cancer for a little while. So that's water. Neptune is in water. And then there's Mars in fire, and we're back to just Mars in fire, and the South Node in Sagittarius, which is in fire, but they're nodes, they're not planets. And so away will go the Sun and Mercury by the end of this week, by Saturday the 22nd. And that's going to be less fire in the sky. So take advantage. Do something this week that initiates, that's fiery, that's creative, that's inspiring, that lights a fire in your life. Because the lack of words, and then we're going to have a very small amount of fire. It's all about earth after that. So we're going to want to get things done, sure, but it's just about, it's plodding along. There's a little too much earth, I think. I really think there's a little too much earth. And it's hard. It's, when there's so much earth, the expectation is very practical and earthbound and not lofty. It's the water and the air and the fire. Well, really the fire and the air that give it the loftiness, Water's emotional. But the inspiration, the thinking, the thoughts, the ideas, all of that is like the fire and air. It's going to be very practical over these next few weeks. So thankfully Venus is going to stay in Cancer for a little while and then go into Leo. So there'll be creativity again. So, and Mars, we know, isn't going anywhere. It's in Aries, and it's going to be in Aries the rest of the year. So we're going to have fire. We're going to have fire in the sky. We will always have fire in the sky, some fire, till the end of the year into January. But you should know that it's only Mars, which is plenty. It's Mars. And Venus is in that position in Cancer. And right now, like tomorrow, when we have this lovely new moon, in the afternoon, Venus is talking sweetly to Uranus, because they're both in the traditional signs. Uranus is in Taurus, which an untraditional planet in a traditional sign, and Venus is in Cancer. And they're talking very nicely to one another, Venus and Uranus. So there is lots of room for creativity tomorrow. There's lots of room for good times, and there's not a lot of friction amongst the planets, which is very good. Now, Mars, as you know, squared Pluto last Thursday, the 13th, and then it's moving away. It is going to make the square to Saturn, and that's not till the 24th. That's not till a week from today. So that's what we're headed towards. So technically Mars is in between, Mars is still in its own sign, but it's in between relationships. It's in between the Pluto relationship, which is about transformation, and then it's making a relationship to Saturn. So it's not gotten to Saturn yet, which is the one that says, no, you can't do that. So if you feel stopped in some way, you got to transcend it. You've got to go around it. You've got to navigate it. You have to use Mars and Saturn as something that is constructive and a strategy. So think about the strategies you need to implement in these next weeks. What strategies need to be adopted? What strategies do you need to draw up? What strategies can you come up with that are creative, that are going to help you move through where you need to move through? It's been a tense time with that Mars Pluto, and then Uranus going upside down backwards. And so it's been entertaining. There's been lots of unexpected things. But now we're moving. Mars is in this in-between place. And even though it's not besieged, it's not sitting in the same sign in Capricorn with Pluto and with Saturn, which it did back in March when COVID exploded. So think about how that's moved along. Like, look back at these months, see if you can get a sense of the change and also the relationship. What is the relationship that you are having now with yourself and your life that relates back to March? Are you one of those people who's like, you know what, the government's doing what they need to do, and we just have to go along with it? Or are you one of those people who said, I've had it and I'm sick and tired of this and I can't live like this anymore? And do you need a break? And do you need to get out of town? And do you need a way out of town? And maybe there isn't a way out of town. So you have to think about these things. We all do. We all have to think about how far we've come since March, and what we've been doing since March, and what we are trying to implement since March, and how we are trying to move our lives forward under the circumstances and the restrictions that we've been given. So what is that about for you? How does that work? What does that do? And when Saturn says no to Mars, when Saturn puts Mars in Aries is more wild. It's the warrior. It's the I'm gonna march into town and take my place in line and do the initiation thing. I'm gonna be a warrior. I'm gonna march into my boss's office and tell him I want a raise. It's an initiation. It's a courage. It's a thing. Where might you feel like you're being held back or being said no to in these next days, in the next week? Once it makes that square to Saturn, that's it. It's not coming back to Saturn for another month. So it's finishing up its relationship with those Capricorn planets. And once it finishes up the relationship to the Capricorn planets, it's going to, move past them, not give them a whole lot of attention, and then get, kind of turn around. You're going to feel the difference once we get past next Monday. And you're going to feel the difference, and then you're going to say, okay, what does this free me up to do, et cetera, et cetera. But see, here's what's interesting. So Mars is going to finish the aspects, square to Saturn, and then it's going to move forward, and it's only going to go so far. It's going to go to 28 degrees of Aries, and on the 9th of September, which is, several weeks away, but this is how slow Mars is going to work. It's going to move a few degrees away from those planets and turn retrograde. and it's going to take another like 3 weeks to get back to Saturn again. So we have some time before Saturn and Mars meet up. We have a Saturn-Mars, and then pay attention to Monday, August 24th, and then pay attention to the end of September when we get to Mars squaring Saturn on the 29th of September, which is the day that Saturn goes direct. Saturn went retrograde in mid-May, in the second week of May, and it's now going direct at the end of September. We got another whole month in a few days. Actually, we've got a month and a half. It's only the 17th. On the 29th, that's when it goes direct. And that's when Mars squares Saturn. So these two planets, Mars is going to be slow, but Saturn's going to be stopped. And so pay attention. Where are you stopping yourself? Where are you being stopped now? If someone is saying no to you, then on some level you are saying no to yourself. So in between, we're in the in-between phase between the transformation of Pluto, and the slower moving planet always wins. So right now, Pluto is a slower moving planet. And then to Saturn, where Pluto says, I'm going to transform, I'm going to enlighten, I'm going to dramatically change things. And Saturn says, no, you're not. You're not going anywhere. No, you can't do that. And you have to take that information and say, okay, pay attention to it, look at it, and say, where am I stopping myself? How am I stopping myself? And if you say, well, yeah, but my so-and-so, my this, my that, my boss, my town, my governor, my whatever is telling me no. There's a collective part of it too. Yes, there is a collective part where we're all being told no to something. And these restrictions that have been implemented throughout the year, wherever you live, it's very important to pay attention to them and to pay attention to the fact that there's no direct way around it. Like you're going to hit a wall, you might hit a wall, and you might get really frustrated in these next few days as we get closer to that Mars-Saturn square. And if you get the frustration, sit down with yourself. This is homework. Saturn is about work. How can you work through this? Where do you feel stopped or stuck again? How do you feel like this is all giving you a place to self-examine? So that's what you need to pay attention to. In the meantime, before we get to that Saturn, the moon is busy this week after it, makes the aspect to the sun, and it's conjuncts Mercury on Wednesday. Then it moves in, it moves into, it goes void for a few hours. Once it makes the aspect to Mercury, the conjunction to Mercury at 1:38 a.m. Eastern Time, it then goes void till 4:20 a.m. when it goes into Virgo. So it's going to go into Virgo, and then Mercury's going to go into Virgo because you remember they're very close together. And so then we're going to have lots of Earth again in the sky. And the moon will stay in Virgo. Interestingly enough, it's only about a day and a half of it being in Virgo before it goes void 11:30 p.m. on Thursday. And then it leaves, it stays in void all the rest of the night, and while those of us are sleeping in the Eastern time zone or the middle of the country or wherever you are in that region of the world. And then at 5:16 a.m. it goes into Libra on Friday the 21st. And it's in Libra all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's void 12:20 a.m. and then it's going to go into Scorpio at 6:16 a.m. So it'll be in Scorpio all day Sunday the 23rd. So one of the things, the sun is getting ready to leave Leo, and it's going to go into Virgo at 11:45 a.m. on Saturday in Eastern time. And it is, this is a whole lot of Earth, like I said. So as we move in, the things that you get inspired about during fire, you have to maintain and manifest in Earth. So one of the good things is come up with something that you want to do, that you've been, fiery and passionate about, and then allow yourself to manifest it, because that's what Earth is about, manifestation and having something in your hand. So, other than that, the big news is, the new moon. 2 planets go into Virgo this week. That's Wednesday is Mercury, Saturday is the sun, And then we have that Mars squaring Saturn next Monday. And in the meantime, Mercury is still busy because it's going to be visiting with the moon a bit, when it's in Leo, and then visiting with the moon again in a nice way on Sunday the 23rd. It's, once it goes into the sign of Libra, it's going to make those relationships again to the outer planets. So there's going to be the Jupiter, the Pluto, the Saturn over the course of next weekend. So every weekend we get, the moon in a cardinal sign, and, because it takes another week for it to go into the cardinal sign, and it's going to, get involved with those Capricorn planets. So that's important to remember if there's like tension, if there's things happening. Like this past weekend, Mercury was going, Uranus was going retrograde. We were still under the Mars Pluto. And then the moon was in Cancer and it was opposing. So yesterday I was saying on Instagram that it was like that Sunday feeling, the Sunday the 16th kind of feeling. And the nice part was the Sun and Mercury making good aspect to Mars. But it was the Sunday feeling of, oh, yeah, tomorrow's Monday. And it was a heavier one than usual because of the retrograde of Uranus and because of the experience of the moon, like in Cancer. It's like, I just want to stay home and cook and be cozy. I don't want to think about work tomorrow. I don't want to think about having to answer to people and stuff. It was Mother's Day this past weekend here in Costa Rica, and today was the day off. It was Saturday, Mother's Day, and Monday today was everybody's holiday. So it's a different time of year. It's a big deal here. Mother's Day is a big deal here. So, so we celebrated mothers. In the meantime, so look at this new moon. Consider it to be something you want to do a ritual for. Acknowledge the fiery, passionate part of yourself, the creative part of yourself, and allow it to speak. And allow that voice to come out. We've got this reasonable week here where we don't have Mars doing anything to those planets. It's moving away from Pluto, moving towards Saturn, and it's in between, but it's not making any exact aspects with them. So this is cool, because once Mars finishes with Saturn, Venus starts. So remember, on the 4th, Mars started squaring Jupiter. Well, Venus is going to oppose Jupiter because Venus is in Cancer. So now Venus is going to start making these aspects that Mars made. And that means it's going to have we're going to feel this again. And the end of the month, that last week, is a little bit busy astrologically as Venus starts to talk to Jupiter and then starts to talk to Pluto. And then eventually in September, we'll talk to Saturn. Okay? So Venus, is going to eventually have that conversation with Saturn, when we have the full moon on the 2nd of September. But we're just weeks away yet from that. But remember, whenever something is passing through a cardinal sign lately, it's going to have those relationships to those planets in Capricorn, the 3 of them, that cluster that's sitting there. And cardinal signs are Libra, Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer. So when the moon does this every weekend, or now that we're in the time of year where Venus is in, proximity, this is Venus in Cancer. Once Venus goes into Leo, then, Aphrodite is going to get really creative and lovey-dovey and passionate. But in the meantime, hang in there. Focus on this new moon and make a wish. This is a big one. This is a really big, exciting one. It's juicy and passionate because it's in Leo. So think about all the creative things you would love to have happen, or all the fun things, because Leo is the sign of entertainment and fun and it's the 5th house, so it's where we create, it's where we have fun, it's where we play games, it's where we go to the movies, it's where we have children, it's where we play with children, it's where we can find that creative child in ourselves and do this new moon with that in mind. So that's Tuesday, and that's a very lovely thing happening this week with Mercury. So speak with yourself, understand, let that creative person inside play a happy game and do something fun and creative. And that's about it. So, my name is Deb McBride. This is the Golden Astrologer Podcast. My Instagram is the Golden Astrologer. My website is thegoldenastrologer.com, and you may book a session with me online. If you missed my webinar last week on August 10th, a week ago, you may purchase the recording if you go to book online, and you get it for $20. My webinar that I gave on Mars, the Mars effect, and how it's going to affect us over these 6 months. There was a lot. People have come back to me and said, "Whoa, that was intense," or "Oh wow, that was really powerful. Oh, that was really good. Well, this is really interesting." And I gave everybody the downloads of the recordings if they attended. So if you're interested, you can purchase it on my website, and I will give you the audio and the video, and you can see. And people ask questions and stuff. So it was very interesting and entertaining. And my Twitter is @DebAstrology. So have a beautiful, beautiful week. Enjoy the beautiful Leo new moon with Mercury, and I will see you again in 1 week. Thanks for listening. Gratitude to all of you.